There comes a moment in every life and in every nation's journey where silence is no longer golden. It is complicity, and in that moment one voice, just one, and rise like a storm in a still desert and awaken the world with nothing but truth. Not diplomacy, not sugar-coated narratives, but true, raw, unfiltered, uncomfortable, and necessary. You see, we are taught to play safe, to fit in, to nod politely even when our hearts scream otherwise. But the ones who change the course of history are those who choose to speak when it's risky, to stand when it's lonely, and to call out the farce, even if the world prefers the lie. A bold stand was taken, not with weapons, not with arrogance, but with wisdom, with clarity, and with the kind of conviction that doesn't shake under pressure. The room didn't expect it, the world didn't welcome it. But truth never asks for permission, it only asks for courage. In a world that punishes honesty and rewards performance, someone shattered the theater of global hypocrisy with one simple act, telling it like it is. Not to provoke, but to remind us that the powerful are not always right, that narratives are not always truth, and that integrity, though rarely glamorous, is always revolutionary. The moment I heard those words, I didn't hear a speech. I heard a heartbeat of every nation that's been overlooked, every voice that's been dismissed, every truth that's been twisted to fit the comfort of the powerful. And it made me ask myself, and I ask you now, when was the last time you spoke your truth, not to be heard, but because it needed to be said, because the world doesn't need more diplomats of denial. It needs warriors of honesty. It needs people who can stand tall in front of thunder and say, "Let it rain. I have nothing to hide." So, to the one who chose truth over approval, clarity over cleverness, courage over convenience, thank you. You reminded us that silence is not peace, that politeness is not principle, and that truth, even when whispered, can shake empires. Let us not clap only, let us reflect, and most importantly, let us all learn to drop our own truth bombs. Not to destroy, but to illuminate, to free, to heal, because truth is not the enemy of diplomacy, it is the soul of it. Truth without fear is the loudest form of resistance. It is not spoken for applause, nor uttered to win favor. It is born from a place deep within, a place where conscience refuses to remain silent. In a world layered with deception, narrative control, and power-driven optics, truth becomes the rarest language. And when someone dares to speak it without fear, without compromise, without flinching, it echoes far beyond borders, beyond political chambers, beyond time itself. Speaking truth is not about having the loudest voice, it's about having the clearest soul. It means knowing the weight of your words and still choosing to carry them, even when they tremble against the wind of opposition. It is standing on a stage where every gaze is fixed, not to seek validation, but to hold a mirror up to a world too comfortable with its illusions. When truth emerges unafraid, it shakes foundations, not because it is violent, but because it is real, and the real always unsettles the convenient. Most people dress their words in armor, calculating the safest syllables, negotiating honesty for approval. But those who speak without fear have unshackled themselves from this performance. They speak not because it is easy, but because it is essential. They are not reckless, they are responsible, not cruel, but courageous. Their truth is not dressed for diplomacy, it is delivered for clarity and clarity, in a world fogged by spin and spectacle, is more disruptive than any protest. There is an undeniable power in fearless truth. It is quiet in its approach, but thunderous in its impact. It does not ask for attention, it demands reflection. It challenges not just what is said, but what is accepted. It dares to poke holes in stories long considered sacred. It reminds the world that peace built on denial is fragile, that unity built on silence is fake, and that progress built on hypocrisy is doomed. Those who resist through truth do not seek to tear down, they seek to awaken. Their resistance is not rooted in rebellion. It is rooted in responsibility. They know the risks. They have counted the costs, but they choose to speak anyway, because they understand that fear is the oldest tool of control. And truth is the oldest form of freedom. When you remove fear from truth, what remains is a voice that cannot be ignored. It doesn't shout, it doesn't beg, it simply stands upright, unapologetic, and unwavering. In doing so, it resists not just injustice, but indifference, not just lies, but the comfort built on those lies. The world may resist that voice. It may dismiss it, mock it, even try to silence it, but it will never it. Because truth spoken without fear becomes etched, not just in headlines but in hearts. It becomes the seed of transformation, the kind that cannot be undone. Silence in the face of injustice is complicity, not diplomacy. It is the quiet nod that enables cruelty, the polite smile that sustains oppression, the carefully chosen neutrality that emboldens the aggressor. In a world where wrongs are often committed in broad daylight, silence is not innocence. It is endorsement, and those who choose silence under the veil of diplomacy are not maintaining peace. They are abandoning principle. There is a myth that silence is wisdom, that by holding back one's voice, one is preserving harmony. But harmony built on the suppression of truth is hollow. It is a theater staged for comfort, not conscience. When injustice occurs, be it war, discrimination, exploitation, or lies, and the powerful remain wordless, their silence is not a mark of maturity. It is a betrayal of those who suffer, of those whose voices are crushed, and of the very values they claim to protect. Diplomacy is not silence. Diplomacy is not avoidance. True diplomacy is the art of truth, telling with grace. It does not mean ignoring injustice for the sake of the table. It means confronting it with composure. When injustice is met with silence, it thrives. When it is met with carefully chosen inaction, it deepens. And when those in privileged positions claim neutrality while others bleed, they are not neutral. They are comfortable. And comfort, when bought with the pain of the voiceless, is complicity. Too often, leaders sit in circles of power and speak of stability, progress, alliances. But what kind of progress allows injustice to continue unchallenged? What kind of stability demands the silencing of truth? These are not marks of civilization. They are symptoms of cowardice. There is nothing diplomatic about turning away from suffering. There is nothing noble about pretending not to see. The world doesn't need more carefully worded silence. It needs moral clarity. Those who speak out are often accused of being disruptive. But what is more disruptive than the quiet that protects the unjust? Silence protects the status quo, even when the status quo is a machinery of harm. It keeps the mask on the face of oppression. It allows history to repeat itself, unchallenged, while those who knew better choose to stay silent under the illusion of professionalism. There is a cost to speaking up, yes, but there is a greater cost to remaining silent. For every silence in high places, 1,000 cries go unheard. And in those moments, silence becomes a shield for the oppressor, not the oppressed. The one who chooses to speak even when it's uncomfortable is not creating conflict. They are revealing it, because injustice does not disappear when ignored. It only grows quieter, deadlier, and more acceptable. And silence is the oxygen it breathes. Integrity is standing tall, even when you're the only one standing. It's not about being loud or being noticed. It's about being unwavering. It is the silent, immovable commitment to what is right, not what is popular. In a room full of nodding heads, it is the lone figure who dares to shake theirs. In a chorus of agreement, it is the voice that breaks the rhythm, not to provoke, but to preserve truth. That is integrity, not just a virtue, but a form of resistance. Integrity doesn't seek applause. It doesn't perform. It doesn't shift with convenience. It is the invisible thread that holds character together when everything else is falling apart. When pressure builds, when alliances falter, when eyes turn with suspicion, the person of integrity doesn't lower their gaze. They rise, not in arrogance, but in anchored purpose. They know that standing alone is not isolation. It is testimony. True integrity is not loud, but it echoes. It is not flashy, but it shines. It does not need backup to validate its position. It stands because it must, because it cannot do otherwise. Integrity refuses to bend to fear or favor. It refuses to decorate lies just to maintain comfort. It stands not in rebellion, but in responsibility, to self, to values, and to the future. The hardest time to hold integrity is not when you're surrounded by enemies, but when you're surrounded by allies who expect you to betray it. That is when standing tall becomes a test not of strength, but of soul. To resist the pull of compromise when it promises rewards, to decline the path of convenience when it offers applause, that is the rarest kind of courage, and it is always lonely. But loneliness does not make it wrong. Often, the one who stands alone is the only one who can see clearly. Integrity gives vision that's not clouded by personal gain. It gives the strength to say what needs to be said, and the restraint to hold back when speaking would only serve ego. It's the refusal to participate in games, even when invited to the table. It is the quiet rebellion against conformity wrapped in civility. When truth is unpopular, integrity becomes inconvenient. It is easier to bow to the majority, to wrap silence in strategy, to justify inaction as patience. But those with integrity know that justice delayed by silence is justice denied by complicity. They understand that what you stand for, especially when you're standing alone, defines who you are when no one is watching. Integrity doesn't change with the company. It doesn't fluctuate with opinion. It stands with consistency regardless of consequence. Because for those who carry it, integrity is not an accessory. It is identity. It cannot be negotiated. It cannot be shelved until the storm passes. It is the stillness in the storm, the center that holds, the voice within that says, even if no one claps, even if everyone walks away, this is the hill I will not descend from.